This weekend's project's going to be changing the grille support in this Jeep here. We hit something last year and we damaged it, and now we're going to replace it. Over here you can see the foam sticking out but from behind the plastic bumper there, so that busted off, so it's damaged in there. You can see some cracking action in here. Also, here is where it's damaged that grille support right there, so that plastic is missing, and that plastic supports the lights over on this side, so those lights were all wonky on that side. To remove the headlight, you've got a piece here, here, and here. Those are just simply going to kind of connect onto these pins here, and these plastic pieces you see have pulled out. So you just want to grab onto that or gently pry that out, and then it'll come off of those 3 pins, and then you just undo the plug, and once you've undone the plug there, it'll come right out. Right here's the back of that light, so we're simply just going to undo the plug. We've got one of those plastic fasteners there, and that's where that end of that rod will pop into, and then we've got another plastic piece that goes there and one that goes there. Again, there's the end of the pin there, that rounded end. Next you have this corner light here, and you're going to have that screw, and that screw is going to be right there. So you take that screw out there, then you're going to have that bottom screw on the bottom there, and that bottom screw is going to go right there. What I've done is I just get the Dremel and I make that little pocket in there, and that helps get the screwdriver in place, because when you put that screwdriver in there, it's just going to be the space between the 2 lights. Now you're going to want to remove this one out first, and once you've removed that one out, that's going to give you access to that one. For this bottom light right here, you come in, there'll be a fastener right there and a fastener down in there. Those are the 2 fasteners that hold it in place. And then over here, there's a little piece that this is supposed to go into and hold, but you can tell that that is all busted away. So there's nothing supporting that end of the light right now on this one here. That's pretty much why we're changing this grille support. Now the grille itself will just simply have 4 screws in there. As you take a look along, there's going to be one at the top there, one at the top there. And then when you come into the front, you're going to have one on the corner of the top there. And you're going to have another one in the corner of the top on this side. Once you've removed those screws, this will simply pull back and pull out. And those fingers down in the bottom, those will go with those holes down in the bottom there. Next, we're going to concentrate on the bumper itself, and that's just going to be a series of plugs that kind of hold that into place there. And these are the plugs I'm talking about. There's going to be one there, there, there. If that was pushed in and lined up, that would be another plug there. We're also going to have a series of those plugs on each wheel well. So there's 3 here, 1, 2, and 3. There's going to be another 3 on the other side. And then on the bottom, we're going to have another 3 plugs down here. So that one's missing. I've used a zip tie for that one. And that one is missing as well. Once you've removed all those, it should just slide out towards the front and come right off. Once you've removed all the fasteners, you just simply pull that bumper straight forward, and there's a pin and a slot that it gets disengaged from. Right there is going to be the slot on the bumper, and that slot is going to line up with this pin, and then it gets held in place there. That's what supports it. Now we should have a series of bolts to remove. So we have one at the top there, we've got another one here, we have another one there, we have this one, and down at the bottom we have that one in the center, and then we have our sensor to disconnect. That's going to be our temperature sensor right there. Right here is an example of where the wires could be clipped into the grille support. As we're removing this, we find there's 2 more fasteners we didn't mention before. One of them is right there, and it's obviously not hooked up because that plastic is busted out of there. Over here on this side, you can see where that corner piece gets bolted in there. So we'll undo that, and now we'll be able to remove it. Here's the grille support removed, and then what we want to do is transfer all of our little pieces onto the new one. And what I'm talking about is these 3 fasteners here that can hold in the headlights, and then all of our tabs here that are going to screw it all into place. I couldn't find a part number on the new part, but here's a sticker that was on the old part for anyone who's interested. The new grille support's bolted in place, and there's a couple things to check out. We want to check all the holes for the fasteners, make sure that they're drilled, and then I just run the old fastener in to form the threads. We've got two right here that are going to be for that bottom signal light. We have this one here that's going to be for the side signal light. We've got our 3 studs for our headlight in place here. We've got 1, 2, and 3. Likely want to bolt those on before you put the grille support in place. We want to run our wiring through our hole here. So this is for the headlight, and then this wiring here goes down, and then we have our bulbs for our other 2 lights. Our new grille support's already broken. There's an ear that's supposed to go on there to fasten our wiring to. And you can see that ear over here on the driver's side. So we've run our wiring. There would be a pin out there, and then we've got it here, and then another one right there. So we've got all our wiring in place. We've bolted our temperature sensor in place right there. And again, over on the driver's side, we have our 2 bottom screws there, that one, and our 3 studs that get bolted into place. And now we can proceed with our lights. We're going to install that lower signal light first, and then if you want to take a look at this end here, it kind of goes into this little spot there, and then it holds itself in place. You've got these 2 little stoppers for that, and then that back piece goes in behind, so that's what kind of holds it right there. And then you'll push it in on this side here, and then these are going to be our 2 screws to fasten the corners in. So the first thing you want to do is install your 2 light bulbs there, then install your catch. Once you've got that in place, then you just put those 2 screws in. This side over here is installed. So we've got our 2 light sockets screwed into the back there. We've got our 2 screws, one down there and one there, holding this in. We've got it engaged right there. One other thing that you need to put on is this piece of rubber, and that little rubber will slip over top of this grille support lip right there. If we take a look on this side, here's where that gets slipped on. So it just kind of slips on there. If you want to put a little RTV sealant to help hold it in place so it doesn't come out, because it can and will come out, that'll just help hold it in there a little better. Here's the side marker here. We've got our gasket kind of glued in place there with some RTV silicone. That just helps keep it there. This is where I like to have my little pocket where I can get in there with my screwdriver, and that goes into the bottom there. So we're going to have 1 screw in the bottom and 1 screw in the top corner there. Over here we'll plug our light into the back, and once we've done that, we will set this in place. We're going to line that hole up with that hole there, and then we're going to line this hole up here with that one there. 2 screws hold it in place. For the headlights, we're going to plug it in the back. Then we're going to line up our 3 pins here, and once we've lined those up, we're just going to give it a shove and clip it on. Over here you can see where I've got it plugged in the back, and again we're just going to line up these 3 pins. There's one in the bottom over here, there's that one, and there's 2 here, and once we've lined those up, we just give it a shove in and you should hear it click into place. After assembling the lights, we've got the bumper on here, and you got to put the bumper on first before you can put the grille in. So we've got our 3 fasteners on the top, we're going to have 3 on the inside of the lift well, and we're going to have 3 on the bottom. Now again, I use the zip ties on the bottom, and then I just use those push plugs for the top and the wheel wells. And then there's also going to be those 2 pins on either side that locate and hold the bumper in place while you install all those plugs. Now again, before we install this grille, what we want to make sure is all our fastener holes are drilled, and I just run the fastener in to set those threads. If you needed to, you could warm it up with a torch and help set the threads that way, but this is pretty soft plastic in my case, so I think that it'll be fine. I've never had any trouble yet. So we have 2 at the top here. We've got a screw there and a screw there, and then we're going to have 2 on the top inside right there, and then over here. You can see there where I have my Allen head. That's going to be a 1/4 inch fastener that goes in there. Same on that side. And then along the top, we just got a couple Robertson screws there. This is the winter front that I install in the front, help keep the vehicle pumping hot air in the wintertime. So I just go down to the local store. They get one of those crazy carpets that the kids use to go tobogganing with, and then I find out what shape I want that, and then I cut it, and then I poke my holes in there, and I'm just going to use zip ties to hold that to the grill support. And it's a thin material, so it'll fit in just behind the grill just fine, and because it's intended for winter use, it's not going to freeze and crack. It's a pretty durable plastic. Works out good for this purpose. Lastly, we're going to install the grill. And down in the bottom there, we just want to line up our fingers with the holes down in the bottom. And then once those are lined up, we're just going to push it into place. Once we push that forward and lined it up, we can install our screws. 2 on the top and then 2 on the front face in the top corners there.